Hi guys, I'm Phathu and I'm back with another episode of Fixed in Fashion, and today we're going to be talking all things building a fashion collection from scratch. And I'm joined today by Zach.
Hi, my name is Zachary Laidlaw, founder of the House of Laidlaw. We offer unique unisex pieces to queer-bodied individuals that want to unapologetically express their true selves and are proud to be different.
Can you tell me more about what inspired the name House of Laidlaw, please?
So House of Laidlaw originates from my surname, which is Laidlaw. And I was very inspired by 80s ballroom underground culture, where they had houses which were formed of different groups of queer people coming together to express themselves through art and fashion.
Okay, quite interesting. Love it. So I know you've just launched your spring collection, very exciting stuff you have going on there. I know it can be a very emotionally and mentally taxing process, getting into your consumer's headspace and just trying to figure out what it is that they want out of you, from the season, spring, whether it be spring, summer, whatever thing that you're designing towards. So you've launched a spring collection. Can you let us know about the process of working towards that? How was that experience like for you?
So this was actually a relaunch of my brand, and I chose to relaunch with a shoppable spring collection. My brand has existed for almost 2 years now, and in the past we focused on commission and couture pieces that were mainly created for clients and for editorials, and I wanted to bring in a shoppable collection so that everybody could have a piece of the House of Laidlaw. Over the past 3 months I've been doing a business course which has helped me tremendously to launch this collection and to assist me through the trials and tribulations of launching a collection.
Okay. And how long would you say building the collection from start to end took from you? How long was that whole process?
So typically when building a collection, you would have about 6 weeks. But because this was the relaunch of my brand, I wanted to take my time with it and kind of define who my customer is, what the brand is. So I took 3 months with a lot of research, sending surveys out to potential clients, redefining who my target market is to make sure that this relaunch was as successful as possible.
Yes. So do you ever find yourself, obviously you've run the brand for 2 years now, do you ever find yourself redefining your consumer, redefining your market, and doing some more work onto building onto the brand that you'd started already 2 years ago?
For sure, definitely. When I started the brand, it was very much a queer brand, and it's maintained that through these 2 years. However, with this new collection, I wanted to take into consideration different body types and different sizes, and I've expanded the collection to be both size and gender inclusive, designing the pieces so that the styles can remain edgy and glamorous, but to fit larger sizes and to fit male-bodied and trans-bodied people.
That's really interesting that you have a unisex brand going on. We don't have a lot of those, I'd say. I haven't really come across many of those, so that's quite interesting. And were there any challenges in terms of building a collection that is gender fluid, as opposed to if you were designing something specifically for women or specifically for a male? Is there any challenges in regard to making your clothing gender fluid?
Of course. So when designing a collection that's unisex, obviously you have to take into consideration certain bodily appendages that might not or might be there. And so different style techniques, like the skirt I'm currently wearing has pleats in the waist, just to give a better shape to different body types, and as well as fabric selection. So I prefer to use fabrics that are a bit more stiff because it just shapes onto the body a bit better and hides any lumps and bumps that you might not want to show.
That's quite informative, considering how even when you go through, I believe when you go through the whole design process and learning how to design drop patterns and stuff like that, it's always you have your females pattern book and your males pattern book. There's never really anything that teaches you about how to design for both in one. So it's really incredible that you've learned to figure that out on your own, and you're doing it successfully right now. So big ups to you, man.
Thank you.
So is there anything you wish someone told you about starting a fashion line or building up a fashion brand before you actually got into it yourself?
For sure. I think beyond even starting a fashion line, being an entrepreneur is a lonely game. There's no boss or mentor that you can talk to and confide in. You are essentially alone. And so it's so important to have a support system when building a brand or when being an entrepreneur. And there are so many different challenges and obstacles that you have to overcome. You just have to remember that the answer is never just no, it's what can we do instead.
Yes. And obviously it's interesting that you mentioned how it is a lonely game. How would you say the support from your friends and family has been ever since you started up your own clothing line? Because I mean, at the end of the day, it's not just you getting up and having to work weekends and sometimes weekdays, but it's loved ones missing out or feeling like they're missing out on like quality time spent with you because you're working or you're just too busy for them.
Yeah.
Have they been supportive in that regard?
100%. I'm very fortunate to have a group of friends that are all creatives and have been able to not only support but assist me in building this brand. Some of my friends are makeup artists, models, and building a queer brand. I have such support from my community, and so even though it is a lonely game, I definitely have a great support system.
Okay. And when it comes to designing, where would you say you find your design inspiration from? Is there anywhere you look to for inspo to like kickstart your designs? As like do you do mood boards? Where do you find your inspiration from?
So in contrast to what many designers do, I actually don't research what's going on in trends. I prefer to go to my customer and look inward as to what the world might need or what people might be looking for that they don't yet have. And so a lot of the pieces are like a small piece of my soul. They come from me and they design often, I think, what would I want to wear that I'm not seeing in stores. So I develop products that are specific to my target market that might not necessarily be on trend. And before I release or develop this product, I then go to my competitors and see, is this a product that aligns with what's going on within the trends at the moment in order to see if it would sell. But at the end of the day, I try to make my pieces as unique as possible.
When it comes to building a fashion collection, where would you say one must start? Are there any crucial fundamental steps that you think should be taken from point A to Z? Like this is how it goes. What are the crucial steps in terms of building a collection?
In terms of building a collection, it's wonderful to have a beautiful product and to have a piece that is stunning, but the real question you need to ask yourself is, will it sell? Will this product be able to make money as a brand and as a business? And so when you're designing a collection and when you're putting a collection out there, not only does it need to be on trend, in style, but it needs to be sellable. And so the main focus you need to have is combining these elements of marketability and style, essentially.
So is there a step-by-step to dropping a collection or launching a product? Is there a step-to-step for that?
There is definitely steps that you can follow. So once you've kind of ideated and created a piece that you want to put into production, you then go about selecting your fabrics, making your samples and toils, which you then need to fit. Check if the things are sitting right. If you're happy with how the fabric is sitting, then you can confirm your samples with your CMT and go into production and figure out different sizing, what kind of size range you want to produce. And once you have that, then you can obviously go on to actually shooting and marketing that product.
What would you say your favorite part of the whole collection curation process is for you?
So there's two favorites of mine, and the first is definitely fabric selections. Often I'm inspired rather from the fabric than the design. So whilst I'm looking and sourcing fabrics, I'll see something that I have never seen or thought of before. And as I see this fabric, I think of something that I want to make. And so fabric is definitely a huge inspiration and a huge excitement for me. And the second being when I get samples made. So the process of creating a sample is so exciting, and being able to see this idea that you've had in the flesh and be able to put it on a body and kind of bring it to life, that's super, super exciting for me.
Okay. So is there anything you'd like to advise someone working towards building their own brand, building their next collection? Is there anything you advise them to go for when it comes to building a collection? Anything you think that they should stay away from or try to avoid, just to spare them? Yeah.
Yeah. I think the first being, find your space within the fashion industry. Don't start a brand until you know what your voice is, who your target market is, and because that will essentially be the foundation of what your brand builds and becomes. So definitely, it's beyond doing research of trends. It's finding a unique voice, finding a problem that a society or a community has, and solving that problem through design. And so, if I could give any advice, it would be to take your time, do your research, and make sure that what you're putting out into the world is fresh and unique. The last thing we want to do is plagiarize.
Yeah. When it comes to plagiarizing and being copied as a designer, is that something that you yourself in particular have experienced before?
Thankfully not. I think I have such a unique target market and a unique product line that it's, as I said in my previous question, I designed something that's not specifically on trend, but specifically made for my target market. So I've kind of shifted away from being able to be plagiarized, but I know it's a huge problem in our industry. And I think the main thing to do is to just think about what's next rather than what's selling right now.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I know a lot of people do go through that and experience that a lot as designers, especially when you're like in a very small local community. It's easy to see what the next brand is doing, who's putting up. So you're very blessed to like not have experienced that as of yet. And we just hope that your unique pieces keep it that way. You know, I mean, it's very hard, like you said, to plagiarize or copy something so different and so unique without, number one, finding it hard to do, and number two, also just like being caught doing it, because you know that looks like a House of Laidlaw piece. Yeah. So thank you so much for joining us today. This was very informative. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope you guys learned a thing or two about building up your fashion collections. Please do give this video a thumbs up, subscribe, and follow Zachary on social media. We'll link his socials down below. And I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.
CTT on the beat, basement with the heat.
1 cup, 2 cup, 3 cup, drink. I've been on my shit today. Smoke some, drink some, got no shame. I'm feeling this energy, man. Gotta be ill in this industry, man. 1 cup, 2 cup, 3 cup, drink. I've been on my shit today. Smoke some, drink some, got no shame. I'm feeling this energy, man. Gotta be ill in this industry, man. No competition to a mortal, I'm a sorcerer. I'm casting rhymes through a portal that will torture you. Feel like an alien here, I'm a foreigner. I see no evil, hear no lies, I'm ignoring you. Yeah, I'm done with the lying, done with the crying now. And I'm growing, I'm flying, making my daddy proud. Got the world on my shoulders, scared shitless. But I'm keeping it cool, God is my witness.